Left Barrel Racing Podcast is brought to you by the Washington State Barrel Racing Incentives.
I'm Lindsay.
And I'm Kaylee.
We are the hosts of this podcast and the founders of the WSBRI.
On this podcast, we interview special guests, tell unique stories, and talk about all things Northwest Barrel Racing. Our mission is to grow the sport we love and to shine a light on all of the talent and value up here in the Northwest. Thank you for listening, and we hope you enjoy this episode.
Hey guys, this is my 85th time trying to get this right for you, so please don't fast forward. Want to tell you really quickly about our sponsors, amazing companies. We are so thankful for them, so please take a listen and use them if you can. First off, we have Evergreen Equine Vet. Mainly their reproductive specialists, Mike Howell and Jerry Washburn. They will get you a baby if you want one. So if you have plans of a future champion, use them to get that baby. EEVP.net, EEVP.net is their website. The other company I want to tell you about really quick is the Bony Pony. If you have ever been into this store in Mount Vernon, Washington, it is rows and rows of every type of cowboy boot, every type of hat, the latest fashions. You and your horse will look amazing if you go to the Bony Pony store or bonypony.com to get yourself all ready for the competition season coming up. So please support our sponsors. They support you. So for everybody listening today, we have a special guest for you all because I know most of us don't just own horses, we own dogs as well. So we were really excited to bring on Adam Shuller. Are you the founder of Pac9 Training, Adam, or are you just one of them? Ma'am. You are the founder. He is the founder of Pac9 Training, originally based up in Linden, Washington, but it sounds like you're expanding.
Yes.
And going multiple places. So you can tell us a little bit about that. But would you get started by introducing yourself and telling us about Pac9 Training, how you started it, what prompted you to start that? I'm guessing it's a passion. You've been doing this for 20 years, it sounds like, and you're growing your business. So tell us a little bit about yourself and what got you started in dog training.
Yeah. I'll give you a quick background. So I have over 20 years experience. I started off in training hunting dogs and doing competition dogs. So if you want to put two and two together, if it comes to even like for rodeo or for field trial or hunt test training, I sort of lived that life. I lived on a circuit to where we went from competition to competition with our dogs all the way from California up to Montana. So I started doing that. I worked as an assistant for many years in multiple kennels. So everything from doggy daycare to basic obedience, to therapy dog training, to hunting training. How it all started in Pac9 Training, we've been open for almost a year now in Linden, Washington. I moved up to Linden, 3.5 years ago, and I worked at a place called Rover Stay Over, and owned by Ken and Charmaine Skeffer. Very beautiful people, great facility. I helped run that place for a couple of years, and we had a heart-to-heart family meeting, and they wanted to help me out, and they gave me the approval, and they said, go start your own training facility right up the street. And they refer people to me. They help get my whole business started.
Wow.
They're like family to me. They're really, really good people. So we opened up last May, and what we do now is we do behavioral modification. We work with dogs that have problem on leash, potential leash aggression. The basic average person that goes out and wants to walk their dog to go to a park and come back home for basic family living. We also do therapy dog training, wherein a therapy dog is a dog that goes out and works for the community. Okay, so we have multiple places in Linden that we go visit on a weekly basis, such as retirement homes, dementia wards, and facilities like that. I have a handful of clients in this last year that have already passed in our registered therapy dogs that go from everything to hospitals, schools, and nursing homes in Whatcom County.
Wow.
So it's been very successful. And as of right now, every weekend, I lease a place in Kirkland, Washington. And I have about 30 dogs in training right now to become therapy dogs statewide.
Wow. So are these people's individual dogs that they want to become therapy dogs? Oh, okay.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
So they reach out to you with the dog that they would like to turn into a therapy dog.
Yes, ma'am.
Oh, that's amazing.
You know, your dog Daisy would be good at that.
Yeah.
She's such a sweetheart.
Yeah. So, and you're expanding. Tell us a little bit about your expansion. So you've mentioned Linden and you go down to Kirkland, you said once a week.
Yep. We go down, we have classes at Kirkland once a week. And now we just bought a training facility in Shelton, just outside of Shelton, Washington, with a lot of acreage and a lot of room to run. And we're going to really focus on behavioral modification dogs. And what that means is more slightly dogs that lean towards the aggression side. We're going to be using all the tools. We're going to have livestock there. We're going to end up getting, don't even let her know. We'll probably end up getting a miniature horse or something like that, whatever, right?
Yeah,
right?
Absolutely.
So we use these to be able to get these dogs out of their situations, and it's more of a safe place.
That's great. Yeah. So I was excited to talk to you today because not only are people traveling with dogs, and I think I don't know much about dogs other than the ones I've owned, but I know certain breeds tend to have certain traits about them. But in your opinion, for what we do, you know, we load up our horses and our dog or two and head out on the weekends. Is any dog a good dog? Do all dogs like traveling? You know, that's what I wonder. I know we see like corgis. Corgis are a popular cowboy dog. Oh, you're covering your face.
I also see a lot of Frenchies. I feel
Frenchies are getting really popular.
Smaller dogs because of the travel, I think. Yeah.
So I would like to know, maybe there's someone out there that wants to get a dog. We'll start with that. In your opinion, what are good dogs to travel with to do what we do?
Well, okay, let's break it down back more to what's their lifestyle. What does it look like on a day-to-day basis? Because traveling is part-time, right? So we can look at, I've traveled with dogs for months at a time on a circuit, on a field trial circuit. Okay. And these are big Labrador retrievers, Chesapeake's golden retrievers, that travel really good. Okay. But you have to break it down to what it looks like from when you get there to air your horses out, to get what you got to get done. How much room do they have to be able to run and play? So for example, a corgi, think about this. A corgi doesn't need stimulation all day long. You can literally go put a leash on a corgi, go walk it out, go do the business, bring it back to the truck, crate, whatever people, some people have crates in the back. Some people let their dogs roam around. Some people put dogs in their car, but you can stimulate that dog, even like a corgi, like with a food puzzle, some games. You got to make sure you have a lot of water. You can keep them occupied. Where if you were to have, say, like a German Shepherd, it's a lot more maintenance to be able to maintain that dog through the day. For instance, I've watched Ellie ride a bunch of times, and man, they'll get up there, they get the horses out. There's a lot of walking around, a lot of stuff, and sometimes she'll be number 81, and we have to wait hours until she goes to even ride. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
What does that look like? So when you have a high energy dog, it's a lot harder to maintain something like that. So a corgi is a good dog for something like that. Stereotypical, or what are the blue heelers and heeler style of dogs, cattle dogs, right? I'll be real honest with you. Cattle dogs are very intelligent, very, very well family orientated, but you got to keep them busy. Mm-hmm. Is that really fair to have a dog like that to sit up in the truck for 6 hours while y'all ride? I don't know. It all comes on time management when it comes to any style of dog. Does that make sense?
It does. Yeah. I mean, with a horse, for instance, you have your horse that'll be tied to the trailer, calm, not pawing all day. And then you have the one throwing a fit because their energy level just, you know, they got to be out doing something, for instance.
Okay,
and I would imagine.
You ready for this one? I've watched this many times at rodeos. You got your horse tied up to the trailer, and the horse is throwing a fit, you're dinking around, the dog's jumping around, barking, this and that kind of deal. It just makes it more chaos. How are you going to isolate your dog, stimulate your dog throughout that day to where it gets enough attention, enough mental stimulation and physical stimulation? Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It does. It sounds.
I think it's like a bit of give and take too, though, because like you said, it's part-time. So part-time, they're traveling in a car all day, and maybe having to sit in that car while you wait for your run, and a lot of time in a crate or in a car. But then also their home life, most likely for a barrel racer,
right?
They probably have property. They probably have, animals. They're probably outside a lot of the time. So it's kind of like maybe you need to have a mixture of a high energy dog and a not so high energy dog. I don't know what the perfect dog is, but
well, okay. So I'm not going to sit here and judge what dog's best for what lifestyle, but I'll tell you a all around dog is going to be like a Labrador or a Golden Retriever or something like that. Is it going to fit the style of a quote unquote farm or rodeo lifestyle? Maybe not, but the healers are great dogs. Let me tell you something about healers is that they do have on and off switches, and they're conditioned to be able to wait long periods of time. And it's okay for that style of a dog to be up in crate times for depending. I mean, make sure that you have the air conditioning, water, all that kind of stuff going on for them, right? That's if it becomes a safety issue, it's a little different, right? Mm-hmm. But they're that style of dog that you can do that, but you got to make sure that you have the tools when you're at the rodeo to be able to maintain their stimulation, such as, I'm going to go back to the basics. Water. We use like bully sticks. You want another trick they use to keep these dogs going is pack a little cooler. This sounds crazy, right? Pack a cooler, get a Kong, put some wet food in there, put a little peanut butter, put a little kibble in there, freeze it overnight, bring it to the rodeo, feed if it's early. Some of you guys show up early. Let the dog air out, give them a little frozen Kong to chew on for a while y'all get your horses ready, and then come back out, go do a potty session and bring it back in. Does that make sense? Mm-hmm. So you're stimulating the dog. They're working for their food as well, and it's a win-win while you're staying occupied working with your horse.
So will you say that again? Because I've never heard that before, and I think that's genius and might be a great tip for a lot of people traveling. Sure. So describe it one more time.
So this is what we do for our dogs. Okay. Well, you guys know what a Kong is, right?
A Kong?
A Kong. Yeah. A Kong is it's like a rubber toy. I don't have one here. It's like a rubber toy that goes like this, and you're able to put kibble in it, treats.
Okay. It's like a cone for people listening. It's like a cone. Yeah. And what that does, the dog has to work for its reward, such as food or whatever that looks like. Mm-hmm. So what we do is we take a Kong, Kong, and we'll put some wet food in there. Okay. We'll put a little dry kibble. We'll put a little peanut butter in there. Okay. Depending on the allergies of the dogs, whatever. Right. And then we'll put even a little splash of water in there. Okay. And then we'll freeze it overnight, and we'll pull it out for breakfast, lunch, or dinner. And the dog has to work for its food, and it keeps it occupied. Like sometimes it takes a dog an hour or two to get it. Mm-hmm. Right. So it is a great, if you're trying to keep your dog occupied and you're trying to burn some time, it's a great tool to use. Now, we don't feed our dogs like that all the time. We do that we'll even do that just for treats. Does that make sense? But it keeps them occupied mentally and actually physical stimulation, because they have to work for the food.
Mm-hmm. That's a great, does that work? Maybe you're traveling with a puppy. Is that a great way to keep a puppy?
Straight it is. Yeah, 100% it is. You know why? Oh my, because that keeps them occupied.
Yeah. That's a great tip. I think people just got so much out of the first 15 minutes of this.
I think so too. Yeah.
That was great. Yeah. So, real quick, if you had to, like I said, someone wants to get a dog, they're in their early 20s, maybe traveling on their own, want to get a dog, in your opinion, and you're not going to tell us, like you said, a bad dog to travel with, but what is a dog you have seen that overall very user-friendly for the first time dog owner that also barrel races, in your opinion, if you had to, if someone forced you to give advice on this?
Probably a Golden Retriever.
Golden Retriever. Okay. What about?
I'm going to stick with the all-American basic, and the reason why is because you're dealing with intelligence. The only thing about a Golden Retriever is you got to groom them, right? Mm-hmm. I do like my healers. They take a lot more. A healer tends to be a little more reactive. Mm-hmm. Want to herd, they want to bite, they want to stay active, because that's what stimulates their brain. A shepherd's a barker and a biter. If a shepherd's barking, it's either out of frustration. Usually out of frustration for a shepherd, they want to bite. right? Corgis are really nice dogs. Corgis tend to be a little, I guess I could say stubborn or harder to break through sometimes. But it's nice to have a small dog, guys. You have Ellie just got like a little corgi mix style dog, and they're nice. They're little roadies. You throw them up in the front of the car, you rock and roll. You're going to a rodeo. You're doing whatever it looks like. When she goes down to her horses, the dogs pal around all the time. I mean, Ellie has 6 dogs or something like that, right? And they run around the farm. They're active, right? But her little dog's going to be her little roadie because she could put them up in the car and rock and roll.
Yeah. So for people listening, Ellie, he's talking about a local barrel racer up here. Ellie actually made this connection for us and introduced us to Adam. So just for some background on who Ellie is, she owns a farm in the Skagit Valley and has dogs and barrel races and has kids in the whole 9 yards. And she's a mutual friend. So thank you, Ellie, for this, if you're listening.
Yeah. Shout out to Ellie.
Yeah. So what about small dogs? Because not everybody wants to travel with a big dog. If you had to pick a small dog breed to travel with you.
How about this? A small, and I'm not going to piggyback off what you all said, but a corgi is a small dog breed to be able to do the lifestyle that you guys live. And it's not trying to be stereotypical. It's just not what it is. It's they want to work. Don't think these little corgis don't want to work on a farm, because they do. Living on a farm is completely different than my residential doodle owners. Does that make sense? The ones that want to go out and just walk to the park. Yeah. They're very resilient, super intelligent, but you got to start at an early age. You guys, for everyone listening, here's the deal. I don't care what style of dog you have, but if this is the lifestyle that you live and you're trying to apply a dog in your lifestyle that you live, you need to start young. You need to crate train. You need to do those car rides. You need to make sure that this isn't just something foreign. When we train our dogs, for instance, as a puppy, we're doing everything. We're doing crates. You're going to think I'm crazy, but we're exposing them to everything from the horse stalls to the livestock to the chickens, all that kind of stuff that goes on. Now we're also bringing in more in urban. We're doing escalators, elevators, the texture, the sounds. We're trying to environmentally socialize these dogs. So when something happens, for instance, you pull up to a rodeo and some chaos is going on, whatever that looks like, you're not going to have the dog that's going to freak out. You got to start young. It's really hard to get an older dog that's never been in this lifestyle, in the environmental part of it. And what happens is when a dog gets stressed out, how are they going to react? Does that make sense?
Yeah, totally does. And it makes me think of, some people feel like you should go, quote unquote, save a dog. If you want a dog, go save a dog from a shelter or something like that. But based on what you're saying, that might be a rough road if you want that dog to.
Well, I think it depends. What's your definition? You're saying start them young, but what's your definition of young? Is a 2-year-old dog still young?
No, but
you're talking about puppies.
But we're talking about puppies. If you're a person that's already in your own game and you're bringing a dog into your game, you want to start them young if you go from a puppy. But I am 100% on 100% 2 thumbs up of going to a shelter and rescuing a dog. That being said, you want to be cautious because you don't know the background. It's really hard to do a true temperament test inside of a humane society because you really don't have all the environmental stimulations to be able to see how they're really going to react. Does that make sense?
Yeah. I'm just wondering, this has just popped into my head. Are there people like you that someone could hire to come with and help choose a dog? Cause like you would see red flags way before I would.
Yeah. Of course I do that. Yes, ma'am. That's I do that a bunch of times, more than you actually. It's actually pretty common. People want me to come seek. People want me to come do a true temperament test, get the dog out of the environment, see what it looks like, low, mid, high distraction areas, and the reaction. And I'll be real honest with you. Can I tell you the truth? You're gonna love me for this one. I'm judging the humans more than the dogs, because we see, oh my God, it's a puppy. Oh my God, there's this dog there that gave me this sad look because you don't know the story, and you're like, oh my God, I feel bad for this dog, and I want to save it and this and that. Well, that sounds great, but can you back it up as the human?
Yeah.
Does that make sense? I'm
100%.
judging you guys more, What's your lifestyle? Can you afford to have a dog? I work with some very high-end dogs. I work with a lot of my therapy dogs, and I'm not trying to judge, just the reality of it. A lot of them are doodle-ish designer dogs that are very expensive. Do you know what it costs to maintain a doodle? You got to get them groomed bi-monthly. You know, there's a lot of stuff that goes into this, that it's not just all happy, get a puppy, everything's going to be good. It's not like that, right?
Mm-hmm.
There are many dogs out there in the shelters right now that need to be saved. And I highly encourage, with the right person in the right time, and they can afford to do it, is to reach out and save them. If it goes to your lifestyle. So remember this from the rodeo style, that's a chosen lifestyle that you've already chose. Is that fair to be able to put this style of dog into your lifestyle because of it looks cute or it fits the profile or this and that? I deal with a lot of healer dogs. I love them, but guess what they do? They bite,
Mm-hmm.
they nip, they're reactive. So what happens is that I get these shepherds and healers and stuff, great, highly intelligent dogs, but I get some young kids, or I'm not even gonna say young kids, I get people that live in the city that have apartments or small houses and this and that kind of deal. And they, and the reactivity on the level of these dogs is off the charts. Why? Because they're not like Ellie. They can't go have their dogs run around on the farm. They can't. So they have to live. They have to go to work 9 to 5. They have to get up, walk their dog. They have to either go to a doggy daycare, do something like that to stimulate the dog through the day, come back, walk them again, feed them, and go walk them again. Makes sense. Is that fair for that style of dog? Well, some dogs can maintain, some dogs can't. But then you're going into genetics. That dog wants to work. It's a working dog. So back to the question on what kind of dog would be good for that lifestyle. A rodeo lifestyle is a working lifestyle. It's no joke. You guys are, oh my God, you're dealing with your horses every day. And like, it's never ends, right?
Yeah.
So with that never ending battle of what it looks like for your passion or for professionalism, whatever that looks like, you might want to think about having a working dog that stays active with you while you're doing it, because you're just in one stone, if that makes sense.
And I just can't help but think the amount of time I spend on my horse to make my horse good and a good traveler and good at this and good at that. If I want a dog too, I better be willing to spend that same amount of time to make that dog good.
It's a good analogy.
So, and again, I'm not going to profile, but genetically, that's where you can almost pick and choose the lifestyle of a dog. If you live that rodeo lifestyle, that's why you see more of those healers and those styles, because they're working dogs and they stay active and they're adaptable to the surroundings. Makes sense?
And pretty hardy, right? Like, you know,
very hardy. Oh, God, they're very. Oh, I love them. Trust me, I work with a bunch of them, but more inner city, not on farms, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I was wondering, you mentioned like dog breeds that are prone to be not aggressive, but just biters, you know, like healers, that's what they're bred to do anyway. So of course they're going to bite. But when you deal with an ornery dog, like my parents have a healer, Darby, and she's a great dog, but she's ornery. And I just wonder, like, are there things you can do from a young age to prevent that? The biting, and sort of just you know, they kind of want to be in charge. They're so smart.
Sure.
So what can you do from a young age to kind of prevent that in a healer or, you know, a shepherd or those dogs that are prone to bite?
So right off the bat, you want to do marker training. You want to do a bunch of positive reinforcement training, treat training, to go through your basics, your sit, stay, lay down, all that kind of stuff, your recall, all that kind of stuff. And then typically what I do with these style of dogs is once we do that, we, depending on the lifestyle, I'm going to go off of more of a farm agricultural lifestyle. A lot of them we use what they call e-collar. Do you guys know what an e-collar is?
Mm-mm.
It's a stimulation collar, like a shock collar. We use those to be able to have more control of the dog, depending on how much reactivity it has. So what happens is that if you don't have your basic fundamentals down with your shepherd stylish dog, and you're just letting it do what it naturally does, that's when the reactivity really happens. So it's hard to get a good recall. It's hard. It's hard to redirect that dog in a heightened state of naturally what it wants to do.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And redirect that.
Mm-hmm. No, so when we're talking about e-collars, I think people think that's like cruel. You know what I mean? But, and so I bet a lot of people decide like, I don't love this behavior, but I just can't make myself put one of these on my dog, you know?
So,
but
I deal with this on a daily basis. So this is how I look at this. Okay. We got our emotional side of it as the human, and then you're fighting the instinctual side of the dog. You understand what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. If you can't, if you've already gone past that barrier, on that barrier of being able to redirect your dog back for control, and you're not willing to put in what it takes to be able to stop that, to be able to live your lifestyle, then that's probably not the dog for you. Does that mean all dogs have to go through an e-collar? Not at all. Not at all. But what happens is that if we lose that, if it comes to recall, if it becomes a safety issue. So for example, it all sounds cute and dandy. I've been there to multiple rodeos where there's 85 cars in the parking lot, cars going this and that kind of deal. What are you gonna do if your dog gets lost and you can't recall it? Mm-hmm. Makes sense. And then so again, there's a fine line on the belief system on what an e-collar does compared to a positive trainer. I'm what you call a balanced dog trainer. That means is we do everything from positive treat work, clicker training, to negative punishment e-collar training. Does that make sense? Mm-hmm. So we're across the board at Pack 9. So we work with all.
So would you say that like a younger dog, a puppy, they're going to, this is just my assumption, so just tell me if I'm wrong, but you're going to use more positive training and reinforcement on a puppy. And then once they develop a problem at an older age, that's when you're going to have to use the
if we have to. So typically the lifestyle of a dog, or the training style, the methods of a dog, it goes from purely positive, and then you go through these phases. It goes from we'll say from like a clicker, and I'm going to name off just some equipment. It doesn't matter what it is, but it usually goes from a clicker to a harness to a martingale to a choke chain to a prong collar to an e-collar. Does that make sense? Mm-hmm. That's typically the evolution of what it looks like. But what happens is that the truth is this, especially with these designer dogs, oh my God, you would think, oh my God, they're the cutest little dogs in the world, but all they do is want to bark, jump, pull, and react. No recall at all. And what happens is that there's not enough information out there, because when someone thinks e-collar, they think, oh shit, they think, oh, that's a bad, right? They think, well, that's a bad thing, you know. It's because it has this dark cloud over it. There's just not enough information about it. They don't get it. But I want you to think of it like this. Do you have electric fences on your farm?
Yes.
Yeah.
What's the difference of a horse breaking the barrier for a concept? There's not one thing at all. It's, if you want to break it into a behavioral side of training, regardless of it, horses go through the same different styles of pressure, sort of the same concepts, but it's all about pressure induced. The reality is that the dog or the horse realizes it's putting its own pressure on itself, and they have a way to get out of the pressure. That's all it is. Mm-hmm. I go on. I try not to waste my energy and time, but I'll debate with purely positive trainers all day long. Here's the reality of it, is that they have just a small window of dogs that they can work with, because what do you do with the dogs that already passed that stage that you can't work with? And the reality is, dog training is expensive. It takes time, and we don't live in a glass bubble. Make sense?
Yeah.
And especially with what we do, I mean, a dog can slip a collar, easily tied to the trailer. A dog can get in a fight, even if your dog didn't initiate the fight. You know, if someone else's dog is loose and your dog is tied to the trailer, you know, so much can happen. Yeah. And I would rather have to shock my dog one time than try to break up a dog fight. At a barrel race or I mean, I've been bit walking by a trailer in the back of the leg by a dog. Not that an e-collar would fix that, but luckily, you know, I'm the type of person that is like, well, the dog thinks it's doing its job. I'm guessing protecting the trailer.
And if it had the prior training, then that probably wouldn't have happened, you know?
Now you just made a great point. So we call it resource guarding. Those style of dogs typically that you see at rodeos, they're herders, they're resource guarders. That's their pack kind of deal.
Mm-hmm.
And the truth is that you don't have to put an e-collar on a dog to be able to correct that behavior.
Oh.
If you're but if you're pre-training, like what she just said, is that you can train a dog not to react to that to that style. It just takes time. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
Remember, an e-collar, all an e-collar is another tool in your toolbox to be able to help redirect that dog to do the right choice. That's
Mm-hmm.
all it is.
I liked that. And also I like the parallelism between, you know, like how you mentioned horse training and dog training, because I just, you know, like if your horse braces on its right side in its rib cage, guess what? It's getting a freaking spur in its side. Like, I'm sorry to say. And
There's
it
no
probably
different
isn't
rodeo
gonna
people.
exactly. It's no different.
Well,
Yeah.
I really think it's going to resonate with people when you talked about an electric fence. I am not going to let my barrel horse run up and down the road.
No, or bite people when they walk by.
No, and I'm going to do whatever it takes to be able to stop. Well, let me back up to the dog thing real quick. Is that it goes like this? The reality is, if you don't believe in this, if you don't believe in something, that's 100% okay. But if your dog is a danger to itself, a danger to your family, a danger to my community, you need to do whatever obligation it takes to be able to correct that behavior.
Mm-hmm.
And does that mean you got to go straight to a shock collar? No, but you need to do whatever it takes to be able to stop that behavior, because it's not fair to you or to my community.
Correct.
And if you don't have the heart for it, you know, like if you're like, man, I just do not have the heart to put a shock collar on my dog, send them to somebody who does. If they're really developing problems that are dangerous, then something needs to happen, and send them to somebody who does.
95% of my board and trained dogs we call it collar conditioning. They go through a collar condition program. We set the basis on what the collar is used for. They understand the collar. So now they have a tool to be able to stop that behavior for whatever it looks like. Does that make sense? It becomes a safety issue. And this is not a knock to any of the purely positive trainers at all. It just comes to the reality is that we try everything we possibly can to get to this point. If the prey drive is so much and there's so much compulsion or impulsive behavior in this dog that we have to go through that source, so be it. It just makes us more of a balanced trainer, a balanced program. And it just goes, again, it's not a knock. It's just the reality of they can only do a certain amount. And a lot of people, and again, it takes time, guys, and dog training is expensive. So,
yeah. So when somebody sends you, you mentioned, that you give people tools like a shock collar, now once their dog has been trained, now they have that tool to fix a certain behavior. Do you, when people send you their dog it goes through a period of time with you and you train it and then you give it back to them, do you give that person sort of like a series of lessons on how to use the tools you've created?
So we call it sleepaway camp with Uncle Adam. Okay. And oh my God. Right. But so this is what happens is that I have a dog for, we'll say, a certain period of time. My dogs have to be a minimum with me for a minimum of 10 days, They go away with me. You guys get a 10-day vacation. After that, we do what they call aftercare program. What that means is that I'm with you for the departure. We typically go to a heightened state area where you had a problem. So if that's at a rodeo, if that's at your residential house, if that's on an urban trail, if that's on a farm chasing chickens, we go back there and imprint. I go back there and I show you what it looks like to get it done. Then you go away, love on your dog. They go through what they call a boot camp hangover. They're like, wow, we're back home now, right? Yeah. And then I see you guys, depending on the reactivity level, 4 to 6 weeks, once a week after that as well. I put you guys into either a basic obedience program with other clients, or I put you into a reactive program with other clients. And that's with other dogs that have this pretty much the same behaviors. For example, I have a class in Bellingham every Thursday night, and sometimes there'll be 15 dogs there. Well, each one of those dogs have acted out. What does that mean? Either A, bit a human, or A, bit another dog. multiple times. And it's almost like an AA meeting. You're not the only one. Okay. Does that make sense? Like you get to a group of people, you're like, holy shit, it's not just me. Makes sense?
Yes.
And again, that's not boasting and bragging. It's just letting people, giving people the options when they get frustrated, when they go to when they have a dog like this, that a purely positive program cannot stop it.
Yeah.
It's just not going to, some of these dogs have so much drive. It's just not going to stop it. A treat or nothing that you could do is going to take it for the act of a chase of a bite. Because why? That's you know how your brain gets excited? Like mine does when I eat a cheeseburger, right?
Yeah.
God bless, I eat a triple cheeseburger and I'm in heaven. Well, for some of these acts of a dog, it's the chase.
Yeah.
Or it's the front. Right. Make sense?
Even my German Shepherd, she's great. Thank goodness.
She's a sweetheart.
She couldn't care less about food. There is no treat on the planet that,
sure.
And not that she does anything bad and not that I'm trying to distract her for something else, but I just want her to take her joint supplement. And it's like, I could put it on the most expensive steak out there and she's going to say, no, thank you.
So you ready for this one though? So when we deal with all style of dogs, right? And when I have that, so then either it's going to be a ball chase for a reward. It's going to be a verbal or a physical pet. And that's all it takes to be able to get that. That's your positive side of it. Yeah. And remember this, guys, a lot of this is just words written down. So a positive is adding and a negative is subtracting. So a negative reinforcement is taking away a toy. It's not that big of a deal. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
And to get technical, a e-collar, a quote unquote shock collar, is more humane than it is using almost even a martingale that pulls on a dog's neck.
Constantly,
constantly makes sense. Why? Because that's more physical. Remember this, guys. Remember this is that a martingale, a prong, a choke is more of a natural reaction for a dog for the pulling. It's a physical reaction, where an e-collar is unnatural. So when a dog gets to a heightened state, and I use low stimulation, vibration, or something, or a tone to be able to redirect it to stop that dog, they realize I'm able to stop that dog quicker to redirect because the consequence that I am with yanking on a collar. Mm-hmm. You start working with shepherds. A lot of shepherds want to redirect. If they get frustrated, you're on a leash, you're yanking. A lot of them want to turn around, bite their leash or bite your leg. Mm-hmm. You understand what I'm telling you? But everything has to properly be put in sections built up to come into that point, such as a martingale, a prong, or an e-collar. It all goes through different phases.
Yeah. Sorry. Also, if people listening, or Adam, you heard that was my dishwasher in the background, it's like making a terrible noise.
We're interrupting you one more time to tell you about two more great companies, tightjointsplus.com. Tight Joints Plus is a joint supplement. It's amazing. We use it on all our horses. We tell everybody to give it a try. I want you to use it because you will know if it's helping your horse in 7 days. What other joint supplement can say that? That's not coming from them. That's coming from me and my personal experience. So you have to give it a try if you feel like your horse needs some help with their joints and mobility, competition, everything. It's just really great products, and they're coming out with more all the time. The other company I want to tell you about is BioStar US. They are not very well known in barrel racing, but they are getting very popular in all the other equestrian sports. They protect our environment while giving us the very best for our horses and dogs. You can also get a consult with them for free to find out what your horse might be missing and what of their supplements will fit best with your feeding program or what your horse is lacking. They will provide you with the very best on the market. So start with them if you can. biostarus.com. So we do have some questions here we thought that a lot of people might have as well. So I would like to go through those, but what is the most common problem you see with dogs that live on a farm? Like, do you get a lot of calls, my farm dog's doing this?
I'm going to say this. The most on a farm, it's going to be resource guarding and people showing up and getting bit, strangers or people showing up to different events and stuff. I think because it's going to be that, or it's going to be no recall. And what that means is no recall is people are showing up to an event or people are working on the farm and they come on dogs. They can't get their dogs to recall. Mm-hmm. So it's either going to be a resource guarding or it's going to be a recall situation. And that's all stuff that can be done on all quadrants of the training level. Like it starts from a puppy or to any age of a dog to be worked out.
I'm guessing there's a lot of resources online to help with the recall, but the resource guarding thing, how do you prevent that from the very beginning in a dog?
Well, it gets pretty technical. You want to be able to so like on a puppy, you want to start young, being able to take away treats, take away bones, have them sit and stay waiting for food, then you start
it starts with little stuff like that.
Oh, dang straight it does.
Oh, wow. Well, I'm a horse person. I'm not a dog person.
No. So what happens is I get a bunch of resource guarding dogs from 1 to 5 years of age that have already been imprinted, and they realize is that if they go, that they get what they want. Mm-hmm. You understand what I'm saying? A lot of resource guarding also comes around with learning the limits and boundaries of at a puppy stage for socialization, environmental socialization, and puppy play. That's why a lot of people that live on farms, they're like, oh, my dog has 300 acres and they have a couple other dogs to play with. Well, let me tell you, that's not real life to 85% of the world. The real life is that they have to go to dog parks for plays and this and that kind of deal. Does that make sense? Mm-hmm. So if they see 1 or 2 dogs and horses, that doesn't mean they're environmental socialized or properly socialize other dogs. They go off of cues, body postures and stuff like that. So what happens is you bring foreign people into this place because they're not exposed, or you bring other dogs into it. There's usually dog fights because you're not used to other dogs and the resource guarding their property. Makes sense? Mm-hmm. So what I do for stuff like that is I start at a young age. I don't care if you live on a farm or not. Take the $25 extra a day and go put your dog in doggy daycare. Let them learn from other dogs to be able to learn the cues of the body postures and stuff. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does. Yeah, because
it's a big deal. Your 1, 2 dogs and some chickens ain't gonna cut it.
Yeah. Well, what do you say to people who want a dog to protect their home? They want sort of a quote unquote guard dog, but they don't want it to be aggressive to friendly people.
So more like an alert. That's fine. I'm 100% okay with that. Just as long as if you have control of your dog. So if your dog does an alert bark, bark. Oh, Billy's here. Awesome. Thanks. How you doing, bud? Come on in. Awesome. But if there's any kind of reactivity, this and that kind of deal, that's where it's like you need to make sure you have control obedience. Mm-hmm. What does that look like? Does a dog know when to quit barking when you say quit barking? Does the dog know how to play, sit, and stay and go lay down in the house when people come over? Do you have a solid recall when someone comes up to the driveway? Can you call your dogs back? Does that make sense?
Yeah.
It all starts there. The recall for the people pulling into the place, the barking alert, if it gets impulsive or they want to naturally do it, when their brain goes to a heightened state, that's where usually a bite comes in or a chase comes in, right? Mm-hmm. You need to be able to redirect that dog, control that dog obedient-wise, bring it back to the house, trailer, whatever you want to call it, sit, stay, lay down. Does that make sense?
Yes. So how do you fix a dog that won't quit barking? As a general rule.
So typical as a general, we practice leash redirection. We'll work on quiets. We'll work on a bunch of look at me's. We'll do all that kind of stuff. And that all sounds textbook, but I'm in the real world. And the reality is that a lot of these dogs have been so far gone that we'll use a bark collar or something like that. Does that make sense?
No, I think that's honest. And a lot of people don't realize.
Yeah.
Well, no, but here's the deal. There's all different kinds. I mean, you got centronella, you got vibration tones, and you got a final act as a stimulation. Let's get back to the boundaries. Let's just get back straight back to you live on a farm, everything has to have a boundary or there's going to be a consequence. Makes sense. Mm-hmm. So the act of stimulation, which is a shock, is the final, is the consequence. Once a dog knows the consequence of that act and it actually understands the concept, there you go. It's just about teaching it out. That's all it is.
I imagine in horse training, there's consequence, of course, but there's also being very consistent. We say being the boss mare of a herd. Is that the same as like a pack leader for a dog? I'm
a dog. I'm a big dog. Makes sense?
Yeah. So you have authority. And all this training is based on the fact that in the end, no matter what's going on, you are the pack leader.
Yeah, you're in charge.
Yeah.
So I'm in charge, but I'm a teacher, and I'm fair and I give
consistent.
I'm fair and I give grace.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
You understand these dogs, it becomes a trust issue. I don't care what anyone says. I don't care what negative or positive. It's all about the trust. If the dog looks back at me, I give him a warning. Here, come, sit, stay, whatever. He looks back at me. He has to trust that I'm going to get him out of that stressful situation. The dog realizes that the dog has to learn that he's putting the stress on himself. Once that concept happened, he needs to be able to look back at me and be like, Mom, Dad, how do I get out of here? And I'm already 5 steps ahead of him.
Mm-hmm.
I'm already knowing where I'm going to put him at because we trained him on the placemat at the house to come sit and stay. When people come over, no bark, go lay down. We've already pre-prepped all this stuff for it. And for the Breckenridges out there, yeah, I said pre-prepped. Pre-prepping.
So another question, what is the most common mistake you see or know that people make when they're traveling with their dogs?
Oh, okay. Yeah. Hydration. You gotta have water, and pack multiple bottles of water. And I'm going to say hydration first, and then I'm going to say, quote unquote, entertainment, stimulation, challenges next. That's like we talked about the frozen Kong or some kind of bully sticks or something like that. Dogs in general are pretty good about going out and going potty. It's about that downtime. What are you going to do? They have to learn how to self-soothe. They have to realize that, like my big dogs, when they're up, they're actually, it's almost like a decompression. They're thinking about what the next move is. So when I step a dog out, it's not like, hey, what are we doing now? It's just more like, okay, we're about to go to work. Let's do this. Makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
So if on a rodeo circuit and you have a dog, I would highly treat it like a job and pretend that it's a quote unquote job for that dog. So it feels like it's being stimulated. So whatever that means, if whatever style of harness you want to use, martingale or collar, I don't care what it looks like. You make sure that that dog knows it's imprinted as that, okay, this time we're going to go potty. This time you're going to get a Kong. This time you're going to go out and go do some turns. Like you go out there, be creative. Don't just walk a dog, let him walk around and piddle and go back in. Let him do his business, go around, go jump over a couple, whatever, chairs or something. I don't care, right? Make an obstacle.
Yeah. It also sounded like a routine.
It is a set routine. My dogs, when they step out, my advanced dogs, when they step out, they know what's up. I've imprinted a set routine of what it looks like. So that means when dogs have downtime, they have time to decompress, reflect on what it looks like when they're about to go step out and do something next. It's just not we're rolling up to a parking lot, letting our horses go. You go potty and come back in. Does that make sense? Make it a job.
It just sounds like the two big things. If you want your dog to, if you don't want to make any mistakes with your dog on the road or make as little mistakes as possible, you need almost constant stimulation and routine.
Yeah, no, but it doesn't have to be constant stimulation because a dog needs to be able to be able to decompress and rest, right? Mm-hmm. So what that means is at least within, let's say you have between 8 and 3 o'clock in the afternoon, and you have a quote unquote nap time for the dog. Get on out. First thing you do, let your dog go potty. Go on out, and then put up the Kong up. Let them chew on a Kong for an hour or two while you get your horses ready, right? Mm-hmm. After that, once you set your number, you know where you're about to go run. You do your whatever that looks like. Step on out, or have the kids, or have family mates, or whoever go take the dog for a walk. Does that make sense? Because they still need time to be able to rest and decompress.
Yeah.
It has to be a set program. That's all it is.
Yeah.
Just set a legitimate program of what it looks like.
And I think if you pre-plan, you can make it work.
Be creative.
You just can't wing it. Every barrel race, you can't wing it. We plan for our horses.
You can, but that's where your frustration comes in. And is that fair for you, your dog, or your horse? Because you're already frustrated, like, oh shit, I gotta go let this damn dog out real quick. Makes sense?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it does. So any emergency supplies you think a dog owner should own when traveling? Because a lot of times there might not be a vet clinic nearby or an open clinic.
So like we have some dogs can get into stuff. We always pack like a Benadryl. We have some kind of antiseptic spray as well too. We have gauze kits and stuff like that. But just so you know, you can go on Amazon or go to your local pet store and they're going to have most of that stuff. As long as you're going to want to go through and see, because you have a lot of dogs allergies. You have a lot of dogs out there they're just a mess. They take one thing, they can die or whatever you want to call it, right? Or they can go into anaphylactic stuff and this and that. So you need to make sure first you've been to your local veterinary, talk to your local vet to see what your dog can take or will not take. If the dog's okay with Benadryl, if it gets into something, you at least have some Benadryl. And then you're going to want to ask your doctor about what kind of quote unquote Tylenol, Advil, whatever, baby aspirin, whatever that looks like. Don't take my word for any of the medical stuff, okay? Talk to your local vet for what that looks like, okay? Mm-hmm. We have kits for our field trial dogs, hunting dogs, and we have kits just for our basic residential dogs for in case, like a wound bandage, gauze, and stuff like that, okay?
Okay. Do you sell these kits, or do you have like a list on your website or anything that people could find?
Like a first aid?
No, I don't, but... Right.
You should sell that.
Right. But so the shop next to me in Linden, Washington does too. It's called Happy Pooch. They have the Happy Pooch has some. You can go online and just buy them too.
Okay.
It's a necessary thing besides hydration. You need to have something like that for in case you're 2 hours away from a vet or, you know?
Mm-hmm. So one of my other questions was how to stop a dog from being protective of personal property, but you kind of covered that. But I do experience this sometimes when I go to someone's living quarters trailer and I knock on the door, they might have a smaller dog in there and that dog just goes nuts, crazy. Would it be smart, even in these living quarters trailers, to have a dog kennel trained? Would that make them more protective of their kennel than it would the living quarters area?
No, not at all. I want a dog kennel trained everywhere I go. For in case I'm in a foreign place, I can put a dog away because of the distraction and the reality of what's going on if chaos is outside. So no, not at all. You have two different ways to look at this. You can either, do you want your dog to alert when someone's there? That's fine, but can you stop the barking? If you have no way, if you're like, I can't get my dog to stop barking, but I got to take my kids, I got to take my dog to the rodeo, what do I do? That's when you jump into the behavioral side of it of, okay, what does that look like to be able to train that bark out of that dog as well? Does that make sense?
Okay. Yeah. I was just wondering, because I know, a couple friends come to mind with these dogs that I literally can't go put something in their trailer. Like I'm afraid I'm going to get finger bit off, so I guess a quick fix maybe would be kennel training that dog. Would that make them more protective of their kennel than it would the trailer themselves? Like, cause their kennels, they're safe haven, right? If you do it right, that's what it becomes for a dog.
Sure.
So I was just wondering if there's like a quick little tip you have for something like that, because and these are usually smaller toy Aussies or whatever dogs.
Don't get me started on that too. Yeah. It can go both ways. They can get more aggressive or they could be in a safe place and be okay with that, to know that they're secure. Makes sense. Yeah. So you can go both ways on that question. And I highly, 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 highly recommend that these dogs are crate trained, because here's the deal. You ready for this one? I deal with bite dogs that bite humans. I got really good insurance. Make sense? Someone walks in your trailer, you might be liable. It's not, again, let's go back to the basics. If you're putting your dog in danger, your family in danger, or my community in danger, you need to be able to make sure you're protected. And if it's putting a dog in a crate while you're gone, so be it. Does that make sense? I'm 100% for it, by the way, too, for safety.
And that's not cruel. If they're taught young, it's not a cruel thing. They learn to love their kennel.
It's
right?
A safe place. It's a safe place for them.
Yeah.
As long as they have water.
Yes, ma'am. They got to have water. What I tell you, my number one, and go back to the veterinary, talk to your veterinary thing about baby aspirin and all that kind of stuff, because there's some stuff, guys, that you cannot give to your dog. Okay.
And if they find it on the floor of your horse trailer, it can be really bad.
God, you guys got you horse people, you guys got shit everywhere. Okay. So just put your dog. It makes sense.
You don't want your dog getting into your Banamine. That'd be bad.
Makes sense, guys. So just talk to your local vet about what you can and cannot give your dog. And then either go to Happy Pooch or go online and buy a medical kit for them. Okay,
perfect. Let's see what else. Minimal. So I am guilty of this. I have farm dogs and like they only go to the vet in case of a real emergency. What is the minimal care, in your opinion, a dog should have?
Oh man, I minimum once a year, go to your vet. I like to see a dog every 6 months go to a vet to do checkups. There's I know vets are expensive, but it's part of the responsibility of owning a dog. The allergies. So what a lot of times is we get a lot of farm dogs that are itchy or whatever it looks like. What can we do to prevent that? To make it, is the dog showing you signs that it's sick or not? Does that make sense? Proper shots to make sure you're up to date on your shots. And my training facility on my place, you have to have a fecal sample to make sure you got no worms, Giardia, any of that kind of stuff. Does that make sense? And I encourage you, whoever out there listening, to have your home live like that as well too. It's not fair for your dogs, because a lot of the times dogs have parasites going on that they're not dragging. They're like, I don't feel good. Does that make sense? Because a lot of times dogs can't show you cues when they don't feel good. So I highly recommend at least do yearly exams with your dogs to be able to see where they're at health wise.
Okay, thank you for that.
I don't think a lot of people that we know. I grew up like, we only take the dog to the vet if like the dog is clearly like, something real bad is going on.
You guys, you ready for this one? You know how expensive vets are? It's ridiculous.
Yes,
I mean, don't even get me started. Okay, you want to hear me preaching real quick?
Oh yeah, let's hear it.
Ellie, I hope you're listening to this one. Vets are super expensive. A behavioralist is $200 an hour to want to give your dogs anti-social medicine or anti-psychotic medicine, depression medicine for this and kind of stuff. Does that make sense? A lot of this stuff is we could do ourselves. Does that make sense? A lot of the stuff we could do ourselves, but at some point you still have to be able to reach in to have a local tie with your vet to be able to make sure your dog's okay internally wise, but not showing you signs. Does that make sense?
No, it does. Yeah.
And we do it for our horses. So I don't know why we wouldn't do it for our dogs.
Well, some of us do.
Well, yeah.
Awesome. So here's another big one. Probably goes back to training in the very beginning, but I'm dealing with this with a neighbor's dogs that chase horses. What, like if you got a dog that chases
this is what Uncle Adam does.
What do we do?
So what would I do if a client came to me and it was to chase horses? What I would do is either we would start off on a long leash and some kind of correctional tool, such as a martingale or some kind of device to be able to pull the dog back in. If the dog wasn't getting the concept, that's when I would go to e-collar conditioning to be able to stop that, redirect the behavior. It's really hard, guys, to stop a dog on a farm with a leash, because the reality is how many people you see walking dogs with vests and leashes on a farm. It's not reality.
No.
You understand what I'm telling you? Like it's not reality. So what are you going to do that for the people that live on a farm that's not going to walk around with a leash walking on their dog? It's just not reality. Does that make sense?
But if you have a shock collar remote,
you can touch them a mile away.
Yeah.
So with the shock collars, so my neighbor's dog, they say they've tried the shock collars. I don't know if that's fact, but I would imagine you pretty much.
Real quick, I'm going to cut you off. Is the dog still chasing the horses?
Yeah. So when they
then they haven't fulfilled the act and they haven't collar conditioned the dog, because the dog would stop once it does that if they're using the tool correctly.
Oh, okay. That's good to know.
Yeah.
I would imagine with those, it's one of those things you have it on all the time. It's not something you use one time, right? Does that make sense?
Well, initial training, one, because of collar irritation, you can't have that on 24/7 of a dog because it gets irritated. The dog wants to so you have moisture that gets in sand, dirt. You have to be able to take it off at night and throughout the day. You have to rotate your collar. But no, so at first you have it on in training when it's outside the farm all the time to be able to, because you're looking to be able to teach this dog the collar. So for example, if your dog was this isn't a plug for me. I don't care where you guys go. I highly recommend having a professional properly collar condition your dog. Just don't go to Amazon and don't go buy some $40 collar. They're a piece of shits. Excuse my language. You get what you pay for. Okay. Mm-hmm. Have a professional help you or have them collar condition your dog at first.
Mm-hmm.
That makes sense. Once that's done, and a pro teaches you how to use your collar, you're going to have that collar on for a while. I've had dogs on where a collar's been on them for over a year, and then, or a collar will never come off because of, I have to have, it's almost like an insurance policy to be able to stop that dog for a potential bite. That's the reality of it.
Mm-hmm.
I also have some dogs in training where if you just show them the remote after one day, they won't do nothing.
Yeah.
Makes sense?
Yeah.
So it depends on the level and how you're approaching it too.
So as the property owner and the horse owner in this situation, and my neighbors aren't willing to do that, is there anything I could do on my side to deter that dog? Like, do you know any tricks or anything?
Yeah. You ready for this one?
A paintball gun?
No. Because you build a fence, your dog can't come over there. It's just the way it is.
You just have to build a fence.
No, you got ways around this. Either you talk to them, and then I'm not trying to throw anyone under the bus, and then if not, make a report, then have a dog reported.
Who do you report that to? The police?
Well, you can make a police report, sure.
Yeah.
Sure. I mean, like, here's the deal: if your neighbors are a nuisance and they're not taking and now keep in mind too, I don't want someone to get this opinion because it may be you. It may not be the neighbors. They're like, hey, man, my dog barely comes over here. These people are crazy, right? I'm just saying is that there's ways around this to where it's like, okay, you approach the neighbor. If it's not working, try your best to be able to manipulate some kind of fencing or something to be able to keep the dogs off your property. It's like, we just bought this place in Shelton, and there's freaking deer coming up to eating out of the raccoons going around the thing, right? So I have to be able to protect the place around to what it looks like the best I possibly can. Now, if that dog is deviating, jumping, digging, going around for what it looks like, then it becomes worse. Like, okay, well, cool. Maybe we'll talk to them, and then if we have to go to make a report or something like that. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm. So there's not much I can do to change that dog's behavior.
No, because the dog doesn't. You're not his leader. He doesn't know you.
Okay.
Yeah, if you were to go put pressure on that dog, he would be a negative thing, and he would have no clue where it's coming from. It can actually make it worse unless it's properly taught out.
Okay.
Maybe just slip Adam's card in their door. That'd be funny.
Oh, that's funny. Okay. So purebred versus a mutt. Do you see, I think people think there's more problems physically with purebreds. Is that true?
I don't know.
Oh, okay.
God bless them all. You ready for this one? I'll train them all. Right? I don't care about that level. Right? Here's the deal. Okay. What's your lifestyle? So if I'm let's say I'm a hunter. Genetically, the disposition of of a non-purebred dog, the chances of it becoming a fulfilled active, a duck hunting dog or a pheasant hunting dog is going to be pretty rare, right? So because you're buying into genetics of provenness. Mm-hmm. Does that make sense? Mm-hmm. So what happens is you get these fancy ass cattle dogs out there that we have a quote unquote this little farm with some horses and some chickens, and they want to go around and start terrorizing your whole farm. When you start getting some high drive prey dogs, that's what happens. Does that make sense? Is there a difference on what? No, I don't. I'm either. I'm on both sides. I can't tell you that there's stuff genetically wrong because people are going to say what they're going to say regardless, right? Mm-hmm. A lot of these people, guys, that deal with this, they've had one or two dogs their whole life. When you see hundreds a year, I've seen shitties on both sides. Does that make sense?
So, kind of to lead off that question, let's say you want a certain breed of dog and you find a breeder. What are some questions that you feel need to be asked to that breeder? Because I think puppy mills, very bad, but I feel like they've gotten very good at disguising themselves.
Sure. Yeah, how do you pick who to buy a dog from if you want it to be ethical?
Everyone has. And again, it really comes back down to opinion. Let's just break this down real quick. It goes from this. Do you have your hips, elbows, and eyes all checked? Do you have your genetic veterinarian stuff checked first? Okay. Mm-hmm. That veterinarian side, guys, is a big check. If that's checked, you have genetic health. Okay. Second is if it's a paper dog, on that piece of paper, what's proven? who's fulfilled the act of those dogs. That's proving this right there. That's shown that's for your paper side of it. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
And then it comes down to is that I know breeders throughout this country that have 12 litters on the ground, but are the baddest of the baddest dogs out there. Good luck getting a better dog than that. And you may think it's a puppy mill. No, they're just producing badass dogs that can out genetically and out prove from the veterinary side of it, the health side of it, to the proven side of it, and the competition side of it, that you would think is a puppy mill because they have over 1 or 2 more dogs. Does that make sense? So you want to think of it like that.
Okay. So it sounds like a true purebred breeder is going to have some proof of veterinary care or
receipt.
Is that what you're saying?
Yeah.
100%. It's gonna have your healthcare checked off. Okay. And it's gonna have your titles or whatever working titles you have checked off as well too. And that comes down to a good breeder.
Okay. If you go to look at puppies and it's not a big time breeder, like you're saying, what are some red flags you might see in a dog that would make you, like in a puppy? Are there behavior things you can see in a puppy that you're like, oh, that's not a great puppy for me? Or is it too hard to tell?
So let me back this up. If you lived a lifestyle, I'm going to go back to hunting. If you were a lifestyle for hunting and I saw a bird and I bring a bird there and I had a dog that was going to go chase that bird, I'm going to probably snatch that dog. If this is just because I saw more drive in that dog. Red flags for an average person that just wants to get a puppy. Let's go back to if they have their health and they have proven this down there. Look at the obviously you want to check out the residence or where they've been whelped at. Oh, you want to see what the I like to judge the lifestyle of the human. Like, is there a lot of chaos going on? Puppies, a lot of puppies, if they're in a chaotic place where if mom barks or if other stuff's barking kind of deal, you start getting some traits that I actually see when they become older. So you want to see the lifestyle of the house. I'm not saying if you go into some crappy place that a dog can't be properly whelped, not at all. But you want to be realistic in how much stimulation did those breeders put into those dogs? Does that make sense? What kind of program they use to neurologically stimulate those dogs from 3 to 12 days of age, whatever, right?
Mm-hmm. Do you notice, like with horses, the mom's personality can be passed on to the baby? We believe anyways. So it's important to us to know the mom and dad of a baby. Is it the same for dogs? Do you feel like, or is it mainly, is it? Okay.
No, 100%. You're going to go back to proving this. Does that mom have a title? Has that mom proven anything for what my act is? If it hasn't, that's fine. Mm-hmm. But what's the temperament of the mom? Does she bark when people come up? Does she chase? What is her behavioral checklist of whatever you want to call it? What does that look like? And you may not really truly know, because guess why? She's going through medical stuff, chemically wise, because she has puppies. Is she being overprotective because she knows she's pregnant? Makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
So it is important maybe to know
at least the disposition of the parents.
Mom once, or I don't know.
Okay. Here's the deal. Just cut straight to the point. Some of the best dogs I've ever seen are over 5 years old dogs that were rescued from abusive house and in a shelter. Does that make sense? Mm-hmm. You just truly never know. You're almost gambling at some point. Some of the best dogs I've seen have been mutts that were abused, that had last chance things, and they're the baddest ass dogs I've ever seen in my life. Mm-hmm. Some of the shittiest dogs I've ever seen in my life are these high-end, well-bred, this and that kind of deal, blah, blah, blah. And all of a sudden, the dog's just, when I mean shitty, it's just, you're not just dealing with hard to train. Yeah, you're not dealing with just the way the parents brought them up. You're dealing with straight genetics, man.
Mm-hmm.
You know?
Yeah, I would agree with that.
Yeah.
So that was all my questions. And I think everybody's gotten so much information out of this. I'm so glad we did this.
Well, I asked, hold on, let me see.
We might have some questions from followers, but while Kaylee's checking that, what resources are out there that you really like or that you like to recommend for people? Are there certain books you always recommend? Is there a certain YouTube channel? Is there,
You know what? You know what YouTube channel I like? Check this out. And you know what? You got your phone on you?
Yeah.
Yep.
Look up, I think it's Stoney Dennis or Dennis Stoney. Google that real quick. That guy's badass.
Is he a dog trainer?
He's a dog trainer. And I go in my office and I turn my TV on and I love the way he trains.
Okay.
He's realistic. Check him out. He's out of Kentucky.
Yeah, Stoney. It's STO for people listening. STONNIE, and then Dennis DENNIS.
The guy is realistic. He's mostly positive training, but he's realistic and he knows he works with bite dogs. If he has to put a little negative reinforcement into a dog, he will. And he's been around the block. I highly encourage you guys, for any of these listeners out here, to stay on a purely positive program the best you possibly can. It's when you start getting to the behaviors that you cannot control or correct, to reach out to a professional. Does that make sense? And be open and willing to be able to take whatever it takes to be able to keep your dog in a safe place. Does that make sense?
So if I'm someone that I already own a dog, you recommended his YouTube channel. Are there any books or anything like that can help fix some things? Or do you think you need to go to a professional usually is your best bet?
Go to a professional.
Okay.
Just don't.
What about before I've bought a dog or a puppy? Are there any resources that I should look into when deciding which breed might be best for me? What's the best way to introduce this puppy to my home, or, begin kennel training? Are there a lot of resources for that?
There's just Google it. Yeah, I'm not going to, I don't know. I mean, there's so much out there.
Yeah.
You guys, it comes to this, just be realistic. Okay. Well, I just told you something. I told you to go to Google. But I'm going to tell you something again, stay off Google when it comes to the behavioral side of it, because you're going to get one way. It's a one-way street. You Google something, you Google shot collars, it's going to tell you, oh, bad. About 20 things down, you'll get one. Oh, perfect. Here's a good one. Makes sense? So when it comes to the program of, hell, you can go to, they have stuff all over of, I don't know what they're called, online about your lifestyle to your dog, to what it looks like. If you live on a farm, what's going to be the best dog that you're going to be able to stimulate? What's going to be a good family dog? Does that make sense? So there's all different kinds of stuff out there. The only thing I'm going to tell you this to stay off the internet with is training techniques and methods. Go to a professional, and if it takes going to 5 different ones to make you feel comfortable, that's the best route to go. And so you Google stuff and you'll hear stuff, but when you get into real life application, it's really hard to try to mimic what a video shows you. Does that make sense?
Yeah. So tell us a little bit, just a brief summary of your program. What happens? So I call you and I'm like, man, I just cannot get my dog to shut up. Like, I cannot get my dog to stop barking. And
sure.
Then I'm like, I want to send my dog to you. I want you to fix it. What's the process look like?
So what it looks like is typically you go to packcaninetraining.com, you click on get started, fill out all the information, and then we give you a call back. Once you go through that whole process, we set up a consultation. I do a meet and greet. We go through the program of what it looks like. Minimum, if it's a board and training, minimum of 10 days, depending on the style of training that we do. After we do the departure, you're with me in 4 to 6 weeks after that.
Okay. And that's pack9training.com.
Yes, ma'am.
The number 9.
Yep.
Cool. And do you have is there social media pages, or do you guys post training tips or anything like that yet? Or is that coming?
Yeah. Do me a favor real fast. Go to Pack9 Training at Facebook real quick.
Okay.
On your phone real fast and tell me if it shows up there.
Okay. Kayla's typing it.
Yeah, Pack-9 Training. It's just say Linden, Washington. I have a lot of videos.
Perfect.
I'm not technical, guys, by the way. I have a technical person that works for me.
Yeah,
so.
I think you have to these days.
Right. I called you.
Yeah.
Did you find it?
Yep.
Oh, yeah. Lots of videos.
Yeah.
Awesome.
This is awesome. Yeah.
So,
this is the marketing person in me. I'm like, you should be making some reels.
I don't even know that. You're ready? The only thing I know about reels is I reel fishing, dude. That's it. That's the only thing I know.
You and me both.
So I also have an Instagram too, and I think it's PACK _9 training. I don't know, but you could probably find that on my Facebook somewhere. Did you find it on Instagram? I'm sorry, guys. I should be more prepared.
No, it's okay.
No, you're completely fine. I found them both. So the Instagram handle is pack _9 training. And there's videos on here. There's a bunch of photos. So if you need quick training tips, you can go follow pack 9. And then also on Facebook, it's pack -9 training. So go follow. Seriously, very informational. I have never even thought to follow a dog trainer on Instagram, and it's a great idea.
Yeah, because most of us have dogs.
Yeah.
So I thought we wouldn't have very many questions, but I have one more I have to ask, and this is getting long and I apologize, but horses act out when they're in pain. I would imagine dogs do the same.
Yeah, they do, but sometimes they don't. Remember what we said earlier? Some dogs have they have a thing in their called like giardia, or some have worms, and some don't act out, and it messes with them internally. And some of these dogs, they could have I've seen dogs with broken limbs before that were just barely limping, that you would have no clue it was broken. The threshold of the pain was so high that it didn't physically show, and that's why I encourage to go to a veterinarian.
So we horse people are very fond of supplements, joint supplements, overall health supplements, stuff like that. Are there any that you have really seen really good results for, or that you, cause like my German Shepherd, started limping, and I think it's up in her hip somewhere, I'm guessing. And she walks out of it, but it's every time she gets up off the ground. And I started her on a horse supplement that makes dog supplements, and it's helped a ton. And that's Tight Joints Plus. Horse people really love that supplement. Do you recommend any joint supplements for bigger, older dogs that are really physical to help them kind of last longer? Our old lovely farm dogs.
Brand names, no, but yes, we do use supplements on certain dogs for senior dogs, as well as our, these shepherds, man. These shepherds, they need to be on supplements at an early age throughout their whole career. But I don't know brand names exactly, but because again, I gotta be cautious what I say for brand names. But just go back to your vet to find out the one that's going to fit the best suited for your dog. Does that make sense?
Well, and just to say that all of us horse people, we know Tight Joints Plus and we love it. And if you don't know, they do make dog supplements as well as horse supplements. I think a lot of people don't know that. So,
but so that's just what I had on hand, and I gave it to her, and I've seen a great difference. So, we lost you.
Someone's trying to call me.
Okay. Well, we're going to let you go. I know you're a busy person, but I just wanted to pick your mind. So you do recommend supplements. You have another question?
One more question. I just think keep popping up.
Real quick. I do recommend supplements, but I want you to talk to your local vet to find out which one's going to be best suited for your dog. But I highly recommend supplements. Yes.
Okay. And then I know you said you have to be, if you can't answer, that's fine, because I know you said you have to be careful with brand names, but is there any dog food that you do or don't recommend?
No, but I can tell you what I feed mine.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, you're going to laugh at me. We are, oh my gosh, hold on. Is this bad? I don't know my dog's food. Hold on.
No, I don't know. It's not bad because I don't either.
There's so many brands. I truly struggle with that. Here
we go. So my personal dog's is called First Mate, and it's and I'm not going to go into the wheat-free, gluten-free kind of stuff, but ours has wheat actually in it, and it does really good on our dog's stomachs, and their coats are healthy. And I think it's made in British Columbia, so it's called First. So it's pretty cool, man. It's good food. It's what I feed my personal dogs.
Oh, that's great to know.
First Mate.
Yeah, I've not heard of that.
Yeah, and there are just so many dog foods, and there are so many things online telling you that some of them are like practically poison, and some of them are the best thing ever. And there's
You guys ready for this one? people have their own opinions. God bless them all. It's whatever lane you stay in your own lane. Whatever you're comfortable with. Families first, then it's the animals. Whatever you're comfortable with. If you're seeing something in your dog that's helping it out, stick with it. If you're not, change it up. Make sense?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
People are going to do what they're going to do.
Well, do you think there's any reason though to go out? Like, I know you can buy like those pre-packaged, like refrigerated meals for your dog. And then it's like so expensive because you have to get a pack of 30 of them for the month or whatever. And all that. Do you think it's necessary to go out and spend a bunch of money on fresh ingredient food, if that makes sense? Or like, do you think it's fine to just feed your dog?
Can I tell you something?
Yeah.
Dream World. Can I just say Dream World?
Mm-hmm.
I would.
Okay. That's good to know.
Personally,
so if you can afford it, then why not?
If you can afford it, why not?
Yeah.
Do you mind if I throw a plug out there real quick?
Please.
Of course, yes.
Okay, so it's in Linden, Washington.
Mm-hmm.
The place is called Happy Pooch Grooming Spa and Salon. They have all different kinds of foods. They have what you're just talking about right now. They have meats. They have everything. There are all kinds of dog treat supplies, CBD oils. They have everything you need. It's called Happy Pooch in Linden, Washington. The
Mm-hmm.
address is 873 High Notes Court, Building B2. Okay, they have all that kind of stuff. Any information you guys want for treats and all that, you're in the game.
That's amazing.
So I know you believe in them because you know their address and
by
you can
heart.
remember your dog's
I'm right next to them.
Oh, gotcha.
Still,
That was
that's awesome. Yeah. So if you're up north,
no, it's good, guys. Yeah. Melissa has a nice place. She's dialed in. So
that's awesome.
Yeah.
So again, for everybody listening, you have been listening to Adam Shuller. He is the founder and trainer at Pack 9 Training, currently in Linden, but he's moving or adding on and going to Shelton as well. He has a website, he has Facebook, Instagram, all that. So look him up. We appreciate you so much, Adam. I learned so much today. I think this might be my favorite podcast so far.
Me too.
Because
yeah.
You totally enlightened me to everything. And so many tricks to help people have happy dogs on the road.
Mm-hmm. And we're all horse people with dogs who don't know what they're doing. So
you guys just feel free. If anyone has questions, you can they can go on my website. They can email me. And other than that, I appreciate your guys' time.
Yeah, we appreciate you.
And one more thing, Ellie Breckenridge, pre-prepping.
This is so funny. I can't wait to tag her in this.
I know. She's gonna love it.
God bless her.
Oh,
she's a badass.
She is. She's great. Thank you so much. I hope you have a great rest of your day. And we just feel so fortunate to work with you and be partners with you in this. And thank you for supporting the Washington State Barrel Racing Incentives. You are one of our sponsors. So man, this was wonderful. Thank you.
It was.
All right, guys. Thank you.
Thanks. Have a good day. Bye.
Bye.
Thank you so much for listening to this episode. We hope you enjoyed it. Please leave us a review and share this episode with your friends.
Also, if you want to learn more about WSBRI, go visit our website. It is www.wsbri.org. And go check out our Facebook and Instagram. Give us a follow. It is WA State BRI. That's WA State BRI is our handle. Thanks for listening.